Water infiltration is the process of water seeping into the soil and increase the overall water content, resulting in changes in water partitions and hydrological responses. They are significant in hydrology because it controls water runoff and soil erosion by regulating available water reserve for groundwater filling. They are also used as a primary or secondary stormwater treatment technique in a variety of stormwater treatment practices. Infiltration velocity is defined as the volume of water moving downward into the soil surface per unit of area per unit of time. Infiltration can be measured in two ways, which are infiltration capacity and infiltration rate. Infiltration rate is the rate at which water enters the soil of water layer that can infiltrate the soil. Infiltration capacity refers to the maximum rate at which soil can absorb water under given conditions. When the rain intensity surpasses the soil ability to absorb rainfall, infiltration capacity occur. If the rainfall intensity is less than the infiltration capacity, then the infiltration rate is equal to the rainfall rate.
The most common method and equipment used to calculate infiltration rate are flooding basins, sprinkling, and measuring water from infiltrometer ring. In this experiment, we will be using the double ring infiltrometer method to calculate the infiltration rate. Rings of infiltrometer are constructed from two metal or plastic concentric tubes. The pace of infiltration rate will become constant once a specific amount of time has passed, depending on the moisture content of the soil. When infiltration rate is constant, it is equal to saturated hydraulic conductivity. The objective of this experiment are to determine infiltration rate of soil in residential area of flat Benhog Road area, to investigate the effect of storm on the infiltration rate, and to apply knowledge learned in hydrology to infiltration rate in this experiment.
For the discussion, infiltration is one of the most essential features of soils. It affects irrigation as well as other water balance parameters like runoff and groundwater. When creating a water budget for a certain practice, it's crucial to think about infiltration and see if it will account for a major portion of overall water output. Despite the facts that 12 and 24-inch rings are recommended for a double ring infiltrometer installation, we use 11 and 22 cm modified diameter for inner ring and outer ring, respectively, to conduct the experiment due to the lack in equipment. As we are using double ring infiltrometer approach to determine the water infiltration into soil in this experiment, a small ring is placed and positioned in the middle of the bigger ring. The capacity of the soil and the rate at which water is applied to the surface limit the rate of infiltration.
Based on the graph, the first minute has an infiltration rate of 0.07 mm per second, which is a bigger value compared to the value after 21 minutes, which is 0.0017 mm per second. The water took lesser time to infiltrate into dry soil and takes more time as it progresses because it has become more saturated. This indicates that soil before storm has higher ability of water absorption, less saturated, and generally high infiltration rate if not continuously wetted by other water source. It shows a lower value of infiltration rate, which is 0.0033 mm per second, compared to the initial infiltration rate calculated before the storm. Hence, soil after the storm has lower ability of water absorption, more saturated, and generally low infiltration rate.
Include the infiltration rate experiment. The experiment is conducted based on double ring infiltrometer method theory. The diameter size of rings used are 11 cm and 22 cm for our experiment. Low infiltration rate are determined for our selected location of experiment as the soil are usually wetted in condition even without storm event. Infiltration rate is found to be quick in the beginning and slow in the length of experiment before storm event, and it is correct based on the hydrology knowledge. Infiltration rate is affected by the moisture content of the soil when other factors such as soil type are excluded. Thus, infiltration rate for saturated soil due to storm event are for sure less in value compared to the initial infiltration rate before storm event, and infiltration rate value are depending on the storm event rainfall intensity. If the infiltration rate of selected locations of experiment are determined, effect of storm event on the infiltration rate investigated, and data analysis properly explained, all our experiment objective achieved and considered done successfully.